This is I Should Be Writing Season 22, Episode 2.
But I should be writing. I should be working on my craft. I should be writing. I should be submitting my next draft. But I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who.
And hi there, welcome to I Should Be Writing. This is a podcast for wannabe fiction writers, and I'm your host, Mer Lafferty. I stream this live on Twitch every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. I talk about writing and the various walls you put up to fail to get over. That was not very well said, but I just words are leaving my brain these days. I don't know. I should be writing this thing, not recording it. But I don't script because I would never ever do it. But speaking of things that I find very difficult to do in terms of everyday living, I'm excited to have on my show today my assistant, Tim Minneci. Hi, Tim.
Hello.
So we're going to talk about what you do in a moment, but you are also a writer and you are also a podcaster. So tell us a little bit about your stuff.
Oh, gosh. Oh, okay. So I podcast with my friend Jason. We've been doing it for 15 years. This is actually starting our 16th year. We talk about music. We review albums, and we have interviews mostly with folks from the 1990s is our focus, like indie music, alternative music, that kind of stuff. And then we've also expanded into 70s, 80s, and the 2000s, so we can keep expanding our dominance over the album review marketplace. And it's actually just a good way to tell the story of the 90s by going backwards and seeing what the influences were, and then going back and going forward and seeing how the 90s influenced music going forward. I'm a writer too. I've written a couple of novels and some nonfiction books that all of them are available on the various places, Amazon, that you can get those. And yeah, I'm just here in Columbus, Ohio. It's 5 degrees outside, snow, cold, terrible. Can't tell from my backdrop. My backdrop's in the future where I want to be. So
yeah, you are very busy, but you also have a child and a day job, and for some reason you decided to start helping out authors. What I find interesting is that you assistant, that's a verb now. Assist would be the verb, wouldn't it? You assist several authors, not just me.
Right.
But say what does an assistant do? And also, how are you different with different clients?
So for you, I'll start with you because you're here and I'm looking at you.
Yes.
I assist by having a separate email account, so you don't get all the emails for people who want to be guests on the show, or, people pitching things. And I can go through and weed out the stuff that really doesn't make sense. Obviously, your podcast has, or not podcast. Yeah, your podcast has certain guests on. Like, you're not going to have on guests that aren't relevant to what you're talking about, even though people will pitch themselves.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So I will, I'll go through all that stuff. You will get fan mail, and I will pass that along and keep track of a calendar for when you're going to have guests on, establish, get them all the information they're going to need to be on the podcast. We have an FAQ that they get when they are getting ready to come on the podcast, so they know the program. And, it's a lot of like busy work, I guess you'd say, that I think is important to take off the plate of someone who's trying to do creative work. That's, one of the things that bogs people down is just the endless amount of busy work that goes around being creative. Like that when you have people emailing all the time, it's like you shouldn't be focusing on the emails. You should be focusing on what you need to be doing with regards to your projects and stuff. So we've done that. There's projects of different types for different people. Almost always email is involved.
Yeah.
But I have done some like one-offs where I've just worked with like helping to clean up a website. Someone needed their website, just some information corrected that they had not updated in many years. So like, can you just go through these pages and just get all of my, releases correct and the dates correct and all that kind of stuff? It was like for short stories or whatever. And that just, that took some time, but not so much. And then, anything that just pops up that's administrative, that is not something that you're going to want to deal with. It might be creating images for social media. That happens a lot. There can be giveaways, like Goodreads does giveaways, or various websites will do promotions. So we're trying to, like, if we know what's happening, try to throw up some sort of an image or some sort of a post pointing people in that direction. Fortunately, the publishing world doesn't always love to tell you when things are happening.
Yeah.
You kind of just have to happen upon things.
One other thing you do is you have Google alerts on all your authors, which, I don't recommend doing for yourself because you will get all the ways your name is mentioned. And you usually don't want that. I don't want that. I'm a fragile flower. So if I did that, I would find somebody's opinion on something and it would ruin my day. So it's nice that Tim has, whenever he finds something interesting online or some sites, the dog's here, or some site is doing a giveaway or something, then he'll tell me about it. But
things have changed a lot since we started doing this.
Oh,
Twitter was a huge deal when we started. I used to have, for you, and people probably know, maybe they don't know, but I worked for Kameron and Hurley for a long time. And I used to have a daily schedule where I would plot out 5 different posts across social media per day for Kameron. Morning we would promote Patreon. Lunchtime we would promote her podcast. Afternoon we would promote this. Evening we would do another Patreon. And then we do like an overnight one for like the West Coast. So that something would go out at like 11 or 12. That doesn't happen anymore.
But consider, take away the flaming death of Twitter, and I am trying to do more promotion for myself. And I'm just trying to do one a day, but that's like, I'm trying to make something interesting on Canva or a video, so it's not just throw up a tweet. Did you find like a lot of good response to that much promotion for Kameron? Well,
it was always a thing that we were playing with, trying to adjust to see what worked.
Right.
And we did this with our own podcast, me and Jay, where you would try to see like which platform was performing the best, which one could you actually see people engaging. And for a long time, that was Twitter. That was the one where you could see, especially if there was a new short story that went up, because Kameron does those monthly.
Yeah.
You would see then, like in a day or two, new people joining her Patreon regularly. So there was always like a bump because of certain things, usually because, like I said, the Twitter community was like a bit more engaged, I guess. It's not the same as like, Instagram people are scrolling fast, so you got to come up with something that's eye-catching. And we would try to do stuff that has motion, try to do little videos instead of just pictures or what have you, nothing static. And we even tried doing TikTok for a while, but that didn't really go anywhere because Kameron really didn't want to make TikToks.
Yeah.
So I was trying to think of ways to like promote Kameron's books without actually using Kameron, which on a site like TikTok is hard.
Yeah.
And I think it's easier for people who are booktubers or book talkers to, constantly be talking about a new book because you can constantly be reading a new book. Whereas as a writer, your job should be writing, not making videos to post on social media. I understand some people are able to do that, but that's not the case with most authors I have worked with. They're busy and they don't necessarily want to spend time on these sorts of things, which is totally understandable.
Yeah.
But the landscape, really because I started right after COVID. Right during COVID. Started January 21 with Kameron.
Oh, wow.
And then 1 year later with you. And that time feels like the ancient times right now with how much social media has changed. And it really makes it hard connecting the way it used to. That was like 30,000 something followers.
Yeah.
You can't replace those on Blue Sky the same way. It's just not the same impact, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And she doesn't use Facebook. She has a generic page just to make sure that her name isn't utilized.
Yeah.
But that's about it. So, anything. I also, Ursula, I work for. Ursula is just primarily all email.
Mm-hmm.
I have to spend like a day. I check emails like every couple days because like you said, I do have a full-time job. And I do have a daughter and a family, and who's a teenage daughter now who's very busy. And so I don't get to check email every day. So every couple of days I'll check. Most, like you and Kameron, will get a couple emails, just normal flow of things. if Ursula puts out a book, I'm going to get like 50 emails in a day.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my God. Like, and most of them are just people saying, hey, I read the new book and it was great and that kind of stuff, which is awesome. But then we get a ton of those AI generated, if just read your book and it was pulse pounding, exciting. Here's what we can do to promote you.
Yeah, but I was so angry to find I couldn't find you anywhere on an easy search. I'm always thinking you're a lot more passionate about this than I am, and it's my job. So
exactly,
I don't believe you.
I think even like people like John Scalzi get those, and I'm like, I don't think he needs help.
Yeah,
he's on the New York Times bestsellers list. I think he's doing okay with your BS AI emails. So that's a lot of it is just weeding through that stuff. And then she gets, like you and Kameron, opportunities to do appearances, bookstores, conferences, festivals, requests for interviews, media requests. In addition to that, there'll be like anthology and short story requests or reprint requests come in from time to time. Rights inquiries from different parts of the world might come into that email. So it's just a variety of things that there's always something new that pops up where I'm like, I have to email somebody and go, I don't know what this is supposed to be about. Do you know what this is about? And then usually we figure it out. But
and a lot of times you do that for me, and I've already been beat on it. So it's like they just skip, they send it to you and then they skipped you and went to me, which really annoys me. But
yes.
Yeah, don't do that.
If you don't follow the rules, you will not get picked.
Yes.
That's part of my process is like, if you didn't follow the rules in the first place, I'm not going to take you seriously because you didn't even bother to act the way that we want to do this. So yeah, it's just, it's whatever comes up a lot of times. So you will say like, hey, I've got a project I want to work on. I'll be like, okay, let's do that. Kameron will do the same thing. Kameron asks me to do like an anthology collection for all of her short stories that she publishes. So I put them into a single document and edit it and make sure all the margins are perfect because, I'm combining basically 12 different Word documents into one, which can be a little tricky. And then she sends that out to her Patreon folks at the beginning of each year. So they have all the stories in one like short story bundle.
Right.
Yeah. Stuff like that.
So I should be writing stuff down because I'm like, hey, I could do that. All these ideas you're giving me to take up your time. So what's happened that you haven't expected, either good or bad?
Well, nothing really bad has happened. I mean, I'm actually very happy at how little negative email any of you get.
Oh, good.
I have probably gotten more negative email from my podcast than I have seen combined for all three of you that I've been working for a long time.
Oh, wow.
And that's just because music can be very
polarizing.
Polarizing, yes, that's the word. People have opinions. So if we didn't express the opinion that they held, sometimes people get very pissy about that. So I think the surprising stuff is just getting the look behind the curtain on some of how the publishing world works and how it's not as, I don't know what to say, organized.
No, you can say organized.
They definitely feels like less informative on the back end for authors than, say, musicians. So, like, I'll give you an example. When an album sells and there's a barcode, you can look up at the end of the week every single sale of that record because they have this thing called SoundScan. They should have, they think they have something similar for books, but it seems like impossible to get actual numbers of book sales. You get like estimates and number of books shipped.
Yep.
But you're not actually getting sales information, which I find very frustrating.
That should be a basic arithmetic thing, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a barcode on every book. You should be able to just combine all of the various places that those are sold. It's inventory control at the very least.
Yeah.
And so I don't understand the back end, and it seems very sketchy to me that this is not readily, like, you can't go to a dashboard every day and just see where your sales are at. Like, you should be able to look at that.
Well, some publishers offer that.
Do they?
I think Penguin Random House does.
And they regularly update?
I think so.
Oh.
I don't look at it every day.
That
if
should
I
be
did that, I'd
industry
be
standard.
obsessive and never write again.
Right. But that should be industry standard.
Yeah.
For everybody. Everybody should know where they stand.
Yeah. Especially if you're waiting for an advance to earn out.
Yeah. I do. And I was surprised happily how many times kids write in or their parents write in for them. Mm-hmm. The number of kids that write in because of Minecraft books that you have written is very fun. In fact, I have to forward you over one that we got just the other day.
Okay.
And Ursula, because of, her hamster books and that kind of stuff.
Dragon Breath, yeah.
Dragon Breath. They're so much fun when a kid writes in. And I will answer most emails back, but if sometimes when a kid writes in, I will send it to Ursula so she can specifically write something back to them so they have an email right back from the author instead of the author's assistant, which isn't as cool.
No.
If you're a 10-year-old writing to your favorite author, you don't want him to email back and say, well, thanks very much. I'll let her know. You want Ursula to acknowledge you and say thanks.
Yeah.
So that's fun. That's like one of the pleasures of doing it, which really you're talking about time and stuff. I really just wanted to do it because I'm interested in writing and I'm interested in the publishing world, but I'm realistic about the fact that like odds are I'm not going to be publishing some big book anytime soon. I've done all self-publishing and I'm totally cool with that. So like getting to work with professional published authors and be supportive of them, especially in the fields, like in the genres that I really enjoy, which are science fiction and dipping into fantasy and a little bit of thriller horror, I guess. Ursula's hard to pin down sometimes in terms of what her styles are. But like I was a fan of Kameron's before I was an assistant of hers. I had gotten the Light Brigade and I was like, holy crap, this is an amazing. And that was just a random situation. Like she posted after I had read the book that she was looking for an assistant on social media. And I pinged her and I was like, hey, I've worked as an administrative assistant and an executive assistant. That's my job, full-time job. I could pick up, 5 or 10 hours a week if you need some help. And then that's how it ended up starting. And having a few extra dollars because I used to be quite a vinyl collector and it was helpful. I've started to restrict myself on that so that the money is not all going to buy records.
Yeah.
So it's been a great experience. I still have not gotten to like Worldcon or anything like that. I want to get to go to see everybody in person. I've only met Kameron in person.
Yeah.
Because she lives 45 minutes. It took 5 years to meet Kameron in person. We were only 45 minutes from each other. Shows you how much I leave the area. Yeah.
So what do you think is more likely for you, LA or Montreal?
My wife says I should look into going to LA because we have points. She's like, we got points. You should go.
Well, your wife is right.
I'll look into it. Yeah, Montreal would be harder, but I could potentially make that happen. But then you're talking about like, you gotta have a passport and all that kind of stuff, and then it's out of the country. It's not like the old days. When I grew up in Buffalo, you just walk across the Peace Bridge and they'd be like, hey, what you doing here? Like, I'm here to just have a Molson and watch some hockey. And they'd be like, cool, come on in.
Yeah.
And now it's totally different. It's not as fun anymore when I was young.
Yep.
And you could drink when you were 19. That was for the good old Canadian days.
Yep. Yep. You're also helping Kameron with some tech stuff, right? Don't you you're sort of like the producer, both live there and doing the actual back end of the sound stuff for Kameron.
What do you mean, as far as the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do everything on the podcast. So I will do the scheduling, the recording. It'll basically be somebody who she's interested in having on, either somebody who has a book out or he's a friend. That's typically she doesn't typically have people on. They're like, you have a very expansive roster of guests, new writers, people you haven't met before, that kind of thing. And this tends to be like whatever Kameron is interested in. Yeah. Is what we're going for at that moment. So yeah, I'll do the recording and then do the editing on the back end, which I do for my music podcast as well. I was telling my wife I'm kind of getting burned out of 15 years of editing in GarageBand of podcasts. It's just it's been a lot. So luckily Kameron only does them every couple months, but it's not too difficult. Like I always say, it should take twice as long to edit as it took to record. So if it's a half-hour podcast, it should only take you an hour to get through and edit it. So that's not too bad. And then I do the back-end stuff as far as like making sure it gets out into the platforms. She uses WordPress, and they have a built-in podcast module. I don't know what to call it exactly, but it spits it out to all the different podcast services. Whereas for my podcast, we use Podbean. So it's a little bit different, but essentially the same difference.
So Podbean doesn't offer that?
Not in the same way. I mean, Podbean isn't, you could set up a website with Podbean, but you're still dealing with, the www.podbean.com / your name of your podcast, as opposed to just running it off of, I mean, I guess maybe you could redirect the URL to go to like whatever the name of the podcast is, but I don't know that a lot of people actually use Podbean as their homepage. Like, most people just use it as the platform to get stuff up.
Yeah.
It's not as adjustable as you doing something in WordPress or some other like Squarespace, or I don't know. Is Squarespace still a thing? I'm sure people still use Squarespace.
Yeah, I think so. Because Google being Google domains, and suddenly I'm with Squarespace now.
I use a tripod website still.
Are you kidding?
From 2000. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, because man, I was about to be really impressed. I remember Tripod.
We joke about that. Like if some of the older bands, their websites are still on Angel Fire or Tripod, we're like, yes, wow. We still can dig up information on these bands that disappeared 25 years ago. Because those websites have not gone away. I don't know who's still hosting Angel Fire and Tripod sites, but God bless them.
Yeah. So what do you wish that we would do more of?
Oh, gosh, that's a good question. I really did. I mean, you can't go back in time, but I did really enjoy creating GeoCities. Yes, live well. I did really enjoy creating a lot of the social media stuff. It was like a skill that I was developing, to be able to learn how to use like a Canva, to learn how to use motion and edit utilizing motion. So I was kind of getting better and better at doing that, so that it got to the point where I was able to create like a full like trailer for a book, which was fun. I mean, it's just experimenting, and that stuff has kind of gone away, and it hasn't really been replaced by anything yet. But I mean, I wish I got to do more on-site stuff at like cons and whatnot. It's just hard at this point. But I find that that kind of stuff is fascinating to me, because I hate public speaking, but like people who can do it well and be whatever, charming and personable and all that kind of stuff. Those are people that I admire, because I can't do that. So I'm happy to support those people in a live setting if they need a water or a screen managed while they're trying to talk, that kind of thing, some sort of a PowerPoint presentation.
Right.
But honestly, I get this at work too. They're always like, what are your goals and objectives for the new year?
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
To stay employed.
Yeah.
To have a job, stay employed, that kind of stuff. And just I don't want to rock the boat like at this point. Like I'm pretty happy with consistency. I think people are like, there's always this desire to like more, let's do this. Let's try this. And I'm like, sometimes it's just good to find your groove and figure out what you're good at and stick with that. Like you can improve within that. I'm always questioning, how can we make this process better that we're using, or how can we do this in a more interesting way? But I don't necessarily want to add like a whole bunch of new things every year.
Yeah.
And I see that when people get promoted, and I'm like, oh, well, now you're doing like you're doing like 3 jobs now, because you might have gotten promoted, but there are still going to be people asking you about that old stuff.
Yeah. And
you're still going to be advising. So I'm like, I'm happy to be not middle management. I'm happy to be a worker drone for that kind of stuff. Because it's like, that's what keeps my keel even.
Yes.
Because I've worked jobs where there's so much pressure, and I was like arriving 2 hours before I had to start working just to get ready to work. Like we'd start at 8 and I would get there at 6, because like it was so much pressure and so much anxiety about doing this job. Not recently, this was before COVID, but like I was like pulling my hair out trying to like stay alive. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I got to just find something that's not going to like cause me to have a heart attack.
That's good.
Yeah.
We're all for that.
I realize my limitations, and those involve not killing myself.
A lot of people don't recognize that. So that's good.
I know. And it's hard to say this is enough.
Yeah.
My dad didn't. Like my dad was constantly working, constantly on the road. And then when he retired, he didn't really have anything to do, because he never had any interests. He doesn't read books. He's not really into music. He'll sit and watch shows on his iPad. But I don't want my retirement to be sitting in a chair watching shows. Like I want to have things to do and places to go.
Yes, there is talk in chat about agreeing with the happy to be a worker drone thing.
Right. Now that's entirely because it's on me. I went to school for sports management. I don't work in sports management.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, I wanted to be like a general manager of a sports team. The guy making trades and that kind of stuff. And I went through that. I did an internship And then I went and after my internship, I worked with a AAA baseball team, the Buffalo Bisons up in Western New York. And that was a lot of fun. And then I applied for like 30 different jobs around the country and I couldn't get an interview anywhere. And so I moved to Columbus from Buffalo because I had friends who were in a band and I was in a band in college and they all moved to Columbus and they're like, you should move here. Like they have Ohio State. At the time they had the Columbus Chill, which was a minor league hockey team. They have the Columbus Clippers. There's all this stuff going on. Like you could easily get some sort of a job here and then do the band on the side. I was like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. And then I couldn't get a job. I applied for all those places, couldn't get a job and ended up working at a Kohl's in the men's department. And that's when I went, oh, okay, this is going to be how it's going. I'm just going to work jobs while I pursue my interests.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's okay.
I think you'll have a happier retirement, like you said.
I hope so. Because I got a lot of ideas for books I haven't written yet. So I'm just going to be in my office writing and
Yeah.
So what did you major in writing or in creative writing in college?
I tried to get a degree in journalism, but then I realized that I didn't have the moxie that you need to basically stick a microphone in someone's face and ask them very personal questions. And also it's taken me a long time to realize this, but sometimes I look at the wrong things. And my breaking point was one of the core classes of the journalism degree. Of all the core classes, you have to get a C+ or better. And I was doing one of the assignments was to look at the police reports and find a crime and write it up. And I picked up at a gas station and I could not get anybody at the gas station to talk to me on the record. And I was just a student. And I'm like, why won't this guy talk to anybody? And I don't even remember how I realized it. But the thing was, the clerk had grabbed a machete and chased the robber, which is a whole new level of assault against the law, whatever. So of course he didn't want to talk to any people because there was suddenly this vigilante worry that they had. And I did not even, if I'd been a good reporter, I would have liked, oh, that's the lead.
Yeah.
But no.
Machete wielding.
No. So it was that. And I did not do well in ethics and law. So.
Oh. See, I started in journalism. Did not continue. And I had taken I really enjoyed my English classes that I'd been taking. And so I just got an English degree and later found out that UNC Chapel Hill does have a creative writing degree. But I don't know how well I would have done because the few creative writing classes I had, I didn't do a lot of, they were typically not in support of genre work. Yeah. See, I started out in journalism just like you. And then I realized like a couple years in, I don't want to be the guy. I went to work on the newspaper to get some experience and they gave me sports to work on, which was great. But like they had me cover track and field. I had never gone to a track and field meet in my life. I knew nothing about the sport. Yeah. So I'm like trying to learn. I'm like, I should probably like have a little background in something. If I don't know how any of the rules or any of this stuff. So I felt like an idiot trying to cover track and field. And I was like, I don't know that I care enough to want to do this. Like, this isn't how I wanted to do journalism, essentially. And, or I thought that was going to be like showing up at the press conference for my team and, I'll be asking questions. Mm-hmm. And I also saw it as, I don't know if I want to be on the outside. I think I want to be on the inside, worth the team working, instead of being someone reporting on the team. So I switched majors my junior year, which was really dumb because then I went 3 more years. Oh, wow. So I went to college for 6 years. When it comes up, my wife, Katie, will say, and you're not a doctor. She loves to bring that up, which is fine. I totally respect that because I did that. But yeah, I went extra and still didn't use my education. Yeah. I guess the paper writing helped because I've had to write project management papers and stuff like that. And I'm organized. So there's probably some skills. Also, I was extremely introverted when I went to college. So that helped me get out of that a little bit. I mean, I'm still not the most outgoing person. I am with my friends. Like my wife says, you either don't want to talk to anyone or they're your best friend. So being in college was good because I had to like learn how to just be someone who could hang, which I was not able to do in high school. That was just not my thing. So I actually believe like college is more than just getting an education. It is about an experience of like you're being socialized away from your parents. Yeah. You have to learn to be an individual. And can you take care of everything that you need to take care? Can you show up to class on time?
Yeah.
Can you do your own laundry? Can you go get a meal and remember to eat?
Yeah.
Can you do all these things? Do you need to get a job to pay for things if you want to go out? Like, I had to get jobs in college because I wasn't getting money from home. Like, they paid for my books and my, room and board. That was it. If I wanted to go to the bars or go out to eat, it was like, well, you better get a job.
Yeah.
So I think that's as much what college should be. Now it's just a job factory, it seems like. Like, you just go there to get a job.
Yeah.
And you
that's
pay
not even
$100,000.
guaranteed.
Yeah, exactly.
Good
Oh, by
times.
the way, the thing you started going to college for 4 years ago, that's no longer a relevant field. It's gone.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Do you think you've learned anything about writing or publishing from your clients that you wouldn't have gotten somewhere else?
Oh, I think reading, because I've read books by all of you since I have started working for you, because I want to be familiar with the material. So, I mean, just as improved as a writer, that has definitely helped. And also just like how to carry yourself, I think. You don't have to chase everything.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to chase every opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, I always feel like, if somebody's like offers me something, I'm like, I have to say yes. What if this opportunity ever happens again?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like,
I'm guilty of that. Yeah.
And so I think realizing like not every opportunity is equal, and you don't have to always go after everything, because then you can, wear yourself out, spread yourself thin, that kind of stuff. And if you overcommit to too many things, you end up just doing mediocre work across the board. So yeah, Cameron's great at saying no.
That's true. Kameron is great at saying no.
Yeah.
I admire that.
It's funny because she's younger than me, but like, I have definitely learned a lot from Kameron about just like mental health also with regards to how you deal with the burnout.
Mm-hmm.
She went through this the last couple years, and just how to like manage your mental health.
Yeah.
That's definitely been important in the whole journey.
Yeah. Well, tell us one more time where to find you online, Tim.
Sure. TimMinneci.com. You can also go to the digmeoutpodcast.com is where our podcast is if you're into like 80s, 90s, 70s, aughts, rock and roll, indie rock, alternative, metal, whatever, anything that has a guitar in it. Even if it doesn't have a guitar, sometimes we talk about those bands too. If it just has a piano or saxophone. There's not as many, but there's a few. That you should come check us out, because we have like 850 episodes over 15 years.
Nice.
So, which is not as many as you. I think you have like
I don't even know.
40,000.
I don't know how many I have. I should probably do that as I go through my archives. But if you want to find me and my podcast and my books, you can go to merverse.com. And if you would like to get your podcast early and ad-free and sometimes expanded even, you can go to patreon.com/mightymur and get all that good stuff there. Thank you for listening to I Should Be Writing, the longest running writing podcast in existence. This episode was made possible by the Fabulous, who support the podcast via Patreon or Substack. Join the Fabulous at patreon.com/mightymur or mightymur.substack.com. Theme music provided by John Anelio, art provided by Numbers Ninja, and podcast hosting provided by Libsyn. This episode is released under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 license. You can find all of my books and podcasts at merverse.com.
I should be writing. I should be submitting my next draft, but I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who. I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who.